Hey everyone. In this video I'd like to show you how to use some of the shortcuts in the 3D modeling application Blender. If you're interested in making 3D models, you probably already know about it, but if you don't, it's a great program to use. I've been using it for a little over 6 months now, and I love it. I, I've used other 3D applications like Maya or 3D Max or whatever, but I just keep coming back to Blender because it's the best in my opinion. When I first started learning how to use Blender, I scoured the web trying to find videos that showed how to do these things, and I couldn't find anything that was worth a while. So I want to show you how to do some of these things without getting too far into modeling an object. Instead of showing you how to model something specific, I want to show you how to use these tools that Blender provides. It's there's a lot of nice things that you can do with these tools. So, and during the video, I'll go slow. I'll try not to go too fast, so you can actually absorb the information. And of course, you can pause and rewind the video if you need to, if you miss something or I do go too fast. So let's get started. I'm gonna create a new project here in Blender, and the first thing that you'll notice here is you can zoom in and out with the mouse wheel. Makes sense. Um, the other ways you can move is if you hold the middle mouse button down, you can turn the view. So you can see different sides of the mesh. You can also use the number pad on the right hand side to change which view you're looking at. But I usually just use the mouse button, the mouse wheel. So there's that. And when you left click, and I have it turned off because I don't like the 3D cursor being able to move willy-nilly. But this 3D cursor here in the middle, and I'm going to delete this cube so you can see it. This 3D cursor here in the middle, the circle that's white and red and has the crosshairs, that's called a 3D cursor. And what that does is it sets the point where new meshes and new objects and vertices and everything, that's where it shows up. So when you add something new, it will go where the 3D cursor is. I have mine turned off because I just don't want it to go wherever I click. I have a really bad habit of clicking and it's annoying. I am going to go ahead and add a new mesh. And to do that, I'm going to hold Shift and press the A key, and it will bring up the Add menu. And I'm just going to add a cube. So that just added a new mesh object. And you'll see on this side here that when you add a cube or any other mesh, it adds it to your scene. Okay, now that I have a mesh object here, I'm going to press the Tab key, and that key goes back and forth. It will go back and forth between the object mode and the edit mode. And in Blender, edit mode is where you actually manipulate the mesh. I've noticed in some other 3D applications that there's no specific mode. You're just manipulating mesh, and that gets confusing. So it's nice to have a specific mode for manipulating the mesh. So you can use Tab to go back and forth. Um, I'll go ahead and go into edit mode, and I will show you how to select vertices and meshes. It's that simple. All you have to do is right click, and it will select a vertice. And you can select multiple vertices by holding Alt and clicking between them. Now, if you're in face mode, it will select whichever face you have your mouse over. If you hold Alt and right click here, it selects all the vertices that are connected, or all the faces that are connected, I'm sorry. It also does the same thing with edges. That's a hard 90-degree angle, so it's not going to go all the way around, but you can select multiple faces, vertices, edges by holding the shift key while you're right clicking. So if you hold the shift key down while you're right clicking, it will select more than one. The multi-select. So okay, I'm going to go back into vertice mode. And one of the shortcut keys you'll use the most is A. When you hit the A key, it will either select all or select none, depending on if anything is selected already. If there are any vertices selected or any parts selected already, when you press A, it will select none. If you press A again, it will select everything. You will use that a lot. Okay, so the next one I have is scale. You can scale an object by pressing the S key. So after you've pressed the S key, you can specify which direction or which of the 3D directions you want to move specifically. So if you want to just scale the Z axis, you can press Z and it will only scale the Z axis. X and Y. Now if you want to scale the Y and X axes, axes. If you want to scale the X and the Y axes, but not the Z, you can hold Shift and press Z and scale just the X and the Y. Same for X and Z, and just hold Shift and press whichever one you don't want. Okay, so the next one is rotate. And in Blender, it's the same idea as the scale. You're rotating all the axes unless you specify one specific one. So I'm going to specify the Z axis, and it will only rotate on the Z axis. And when you get it to the angle that you want, you just either hit enter or left click, and it will set it to that rotation. Then the next one I have listed here, and I'm reading these from a list, so I remember all of them, but the next one I have listed here is the translate, which moves the object. And the translate shortcut is G. If you hold G and move it around, move your mouse, it will change the location of the selected vertices and objects, whatever. So I'm going to undo some of this stuff. And that's one of the shortcut keys you will use the most is undo. So let me show you that one real quick. That is Control and Z. If you hold Control down and press Z, it will undo. Now if you want to redo, hold Control Shift and press Z. That will redo everything that is in memory. And you can specify how many steps it keeps. So that's all the undos and redos. You can bring up undo history by pressing Control Alt and Z. It brings up the undo history, so you can just click on whichever one you want instead of pressing Control Z 40 million times. Okay, so I wanted to show you. Now I'm just going to right click on a couple of these vertices to select them. And I'm going to press G to move just those vertices so you can see how that part works. Now, when you're using these tools, it is specific to the view that you are in. So if you're looking at it from this angle, try that angle right there. Moving your mouse is specific to that angle. Which, it kind of gets confusing. So, the best way to move things is usually with these arrows here. Just move it whichever direction you want. And then you know exactly where it is instead of using the G key and it being somewhere you don't want it to be on a different axis. Okay, and next I have on the list is extrude. Extrude is fun. When you use extrude, you are basically creating a new set of faces, vertices, edges, and everything else from where you have selected. So, if you have one vertice selected and you extrude, it will only extrude that one vertice. If you have two selected, it will extrude the faces, the edges, and the vertices. If you have faces selected, it will extrude the faces as well as edges and vertices. So there you go. There's a sorry. There's a lot of things that you can do with that. And I'm going to delete these vertices here so you can see that after you've extruded a face, there's no longer a face there. So that's pretty handy. Okay, so what I've just shown you with the extrude, that there's no face there now. If you actually want a face in an area, select all the vertices, all the edges that you want the face to be between, or whatever. If you want an edge there, a face, you can select everything and then press F. That is the fill method. Okay, so if you have, let's see, delete that edge right there. So if you just want an edge between these two vertices, you can press F and it will fill it with an edge. If you want to select these and put a face there, you can select them and F, it will put a face in. the delete menu, which I've used a couple times already. To bring up the delete menu, I'm just hitting the X key. X as in xylophone. It will bring up the delete menu, so you can choose what you want to delete. And these all do certain things like vertices or faces or edges. It will leave the vertices there and only delete the edges and faces. To duplicate objects, so say you want to duplicate this cube. To duplicate this cube, hold shift and press the D key. It will duplicate. Now, there are several instances where you will see that you can move things around without having any keys pressed. This is one of those situations when you press the D key, or the Shift D to duplicate an object. When you're in this mode, you can right click. Well, you can either left click to set it where it is. I'm going to undo so I can show you again, or you can right click. I don't know if I got those backwards. If you left click, it will set it where it is. If you right click, it will snap it back to where you got it from, and then you can use the arrows to move it. So anytime you're moving something without having one of the mouse keys pressed, it doesn't matter what it is. Like if you're in sorry, if you're just moving a face around or something like that because you've duplicated it, you can right click and it will snap it back to where you got it from. So that way you can use the arrow keys to move it around instead of it being in a random spot wherever you clicked. I'm looking through the list I have here, and there's a bunch of stuff that is more advanced. And I'm not sure I want to put it in this one video, so. But the space key will bring up this menu. It's the search menu. You can just type in whatever you want to search for. So if you're looking for, you can use bevel, and that's not working like I wanted it to, but actually bevel, which is a Control B, that's one of those things that moves without holding a mouse down, so you can just right click and get out of that. Okay, so there are a few other selection methods that I'd like to go over here. You can, oh, and that's an important one. Z moves you, like if you just tap Z, Z moves you from shaded mode to wireframe mode, and that's important because if you want to select, say you just want to select these top vertices here, you can use B for a box select. So you're just selecting with that box. Okay, there's another one as well. It's called a circle select, which you can just press C and it will bring up the circle select. You can use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out of the circle, which will make it a larger selection or a smaller selection. So if you just want to select some small vertices here, and to cancel out a circle select, just press or just right click. Right click puts you in normal select mode. So but circle select is really handy as well. Okay, so you're in a situation where you want multiple mesh objects, and you want. There are multiple faces there. Okay, I'm gonna remove doubles, which will take out all those extra faces and stuff. So you're in a situation where you you want more than one, and this is an important thing. If you hold Control and press R, it brings up the loop select, or the loop cut. I'm sorry, and you can cut parts. So if actually, let me put this into shaded mode. If you want to separate a cube into multiple faces, if you press Control R, it brings up the loop cut, and then you can add vertices right there. So now I'm going to select these here, and if I press Y, it separates the two sides. Y is a separation. It separates these two things into. It basically just separates the faces. When these are connected, if you stretch this out, it stretches out the side here. But Y makes it where that's a separate piece instead of it separates vertices. So yeah. Anyway, if there is a situation where you want to separate this into a different mesh object rather than just separating the vertices and being able to move this away, you can press the P key. You separate it by the material or loose parts or by selection. And if you separate it by selection, it will just remove whatever you have selected and put it into a separate mesh object. And you select those the same way, you just right click on them, but you'll see over here that there are two cubes now. Okay, so I'm going to fill these faces in, and these faces. And I'm just tapping tab to go in and out, of course. Okay, so if there's a situation where you want to join more than one mesh object, so you have these two cubes now, and you've done everything you want to them separately, if you hold Control in object mode, not edit mode, in object mode, you hold Control and you select, or sorry, hold Shift, and you select more than one object. You can hold Control and press J, and it will join them back into a single object. So now you have one object with all the meshes in it. So this turned out to be a really long video, and I did not mean for it to be this long, but I'm going to stop there, and I will probably do more shortcuts and stuff later on. That covers most of them, like, and a majority of the basic stuff. I don't actually think that there's any basic things that I've left out. But that should help you out a lot. There's so many tools that Blender gives you that other things don't have. So it's nice to be able to know the shortcuts and what you can do with them. If you have any questions or want to make comments, there's the comment section below. And I look forward to more ideas on videos. I want to start doing this. I want to start making videos for people, for you, so you can learn things. I've been spending a lot of time learning how to do these things, and I would like to give back because there's been a lot of people helping with tutorials and other things, and I would like to give back. So if you have any questions or you want to know something specific, have an idea for a video, leave a comment, and I will look forward to doing it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned anything from it, click the like below, and I appreciate you watching. Thank you.